Moving on.
Let's talk about Chris being vain. We could do a whole episode about that. So, howdy, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. We are back with episode number 10. So, lots of stuff to talk about. Well, not a ton of stuff. I mean, good books, no news, really. Couple little pieces that we'll talk about. Maybe announcing a contest. I say maybe because even I'm not entirely sure what the contest will be. So we'll just say, I can tell you what the prize is going to be.
I just make up a contest. The first one of you to get a script submitted and approved to Boom Studios will get
a new comic book series.
Yeah, really, among other things. But
it is Doug. Hello, Doug. How are you?
Hey, Doug. Sup?
All right, so let's go ahead and dive headfirst into this madness, and we'll just see what comes out of my mouth.
Let's go.
So that's always the fun part. So, all right, in 3, 2, 1. Everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is season 4, episode number 10. I am Chris Barton, and with me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you, sir?
I am just all meched up, man.
All meched up. Yes. Meched up. So, as we record, Netflix has dropped the entire first season, let's cross our fingers, first season of Mech Cadet. May as well, so Mech Cadet is out. You said it's 10 episodes?
10 episodes, yes, sir.
So everything's there on Netflix. So if you haven't checked it out, like me, it's there to be watched. Ed has already dove into it for a little bit. 4 episodes. So I'm thoroughly impressed. I thought, oh, well, I'll just play it on my phone today while I work. And then I never did. I didn't even listen to music today. Like I was just so into what I was doing.
Had that head down thing going.
Yeah, when you get asked about, this was supposed to be the day that Chris could help write a manual or at least start it. And I got, hey, while you're doing that thing, can you do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Of course. Yeah.
I can do that. It's no big deal. And yeah, so it was head down for Chris today. So either way, got a little bit started on my manual, which is not exciting for anyone other than myself because I thoroughly enjoy writing and teaching. So that was where that was coming into. But yeah, so Mech Cadet is out on Netflix. The first issue of the new series came out this week. Yeah. And also, Boom announced here just hours before the show started.
Yep, not even 2 hours ago.
The first issue of that new miniseries has sold out at the distributor level and will be going to second print. So, Miss Terry Moore is in the house.
Terry Moore. Hey, Terry Moore.
Oh, they're going to do that whole Doug Terry
thing. Boy, yeah. Okay.
We're just here to provide them a space.
Well, you and I are over here talking. Doug is over there, and Terry just walked in the room yelling at Doug. Hey guys, Doug.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is cheers, folks. That's all it is.
And see, there's Doug yelling back. Yeah.
Told you. So, Boom revealed today that Mech Cadets #1, the first issue of the brand new chapter in the hit Mech series by co-creators Greg Pak and Takashi
Miyazawa.
Thank you very much. You're a lot better than that than I am. Colorist Ian Herring and letterer Simon Bolin has sold out at the distributor level on the same day as its animated series debuts on Netflix worldwide. Congrats. So the second print is, as far as covers go, if you're interested in that knowledge, is just cover A, and it's got a sort of a sepia tone to it, which it looks kind of neat with that sort of wash on it. It will hit the stores September 6th, and it is actually on FOC, which we will talk about here in a few minutes. So
now, I will also state, having watched the first 4 episodes, as I said so far, they do change the art style when they flashback for a particular reason, which they've done I think twice so far.
Okay.
When
Cool.
they do, um, I believe that this sepia-esque palette is very similar to the palette that they use when they
Oh, okay.
flashback. The artwork changes, but then the coloring kind of monotonizes, I guess, if you want. It all
Nice.
becomes just one color, but there are many shades. It's not
Like
like just a
monochrome.
black and white. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, but they've done that, I think, a couple times for a very particular reason that they do that. So I think it matches or pretty closely to this color on the cover. Perhaps that's why they decided to go with this
Maybe. Yeah.
particular palette here for the cover.
Cool. I will check, but I am looking forward to checking that out. Well, we'll watch a few episodes this weekend. I've got some time on Saturday, so I'm looking
Uh,
forward to that.
they're 20 to 25, maybe 23 to 25. If you just watch the story part, of course, there's a lead in and
Okay.
way too much outro after it. If you ask me, the the show each episode is about 35 minutes long,
Okay.
but about 24 to 25, maybe 26 at the most is actual story. So
Okay.
that's all you invest per episode if you just
Yeah.
you know fast forward a couple times and then and of course from watching TV for years, you can feel when an episode is ending.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You just go boop. Yeah.
Yep.
No post credits, no mid
None of that. Yeah.
credits. No.
Not teasing for the next episode.
No, they
And
don't do that.
let me tell you about this other series that has nothing to do with this. So,
Yeah, really.
well, that's fine. That works for me. In addition to Mech Cadets #1 selling out, this week also saw House of Slaughter #16, which is the first part of the Alabaster story arc, sold out as well.
Introducing perhaps the most unique character to the Slaughterverse
Yes.
to date.
Yes.
And his name his
Oh,
name
sorry, I
is,
didn't mean to take that from you.
no, I was just going to say his name is about on the nose as you can get. It's
Yep.
like, oh,
So,
yes.
I mean, we've seen the character before, but at the same time, I think it's great that he is getting his own arc in this
Yep.
series.
There you go. Let's
Um,
focus on him.
So, I mean, we'll talk about the book a little bit later, but I gotta say, I was intrigued. I was like, sure, why not? You're gonna build a whole story arc. Okay, this will be fun, and it was interesting. So, but yeah, so the second print of that will be out same day as Mech Cadets #1, second print, September 6th. So that's also on FOC as well, which I guess we can jump into that. Well, actually, let's let's jump into FOC and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the books I have over here on my desk. So, let's talk about FOC as usual. FOC. We're looking at previewworld.com, which is Diamond Distributions FOC. Lunar has a different one. Penguin Random House is a different one, but we just, since most everybody goes through Diamond still at some level, we're going to use FSC for them. Again, everything's due August 14th. Check with your local retailer. They may have a different date. Yada, yada, yada. Same thing we say every time. Buffy, the Last Vampire Slayer, #2 of 5. We talked about the first issue last episode. So 2 of 5. So we got an A and a B cover here, which I really thought they would have more than that, but I guess it's just the 2 for right now. 4 right now. I'm sure we'll get some ratios or a foil cover because, fun. Coda #1 of 5. This is the sequel series to the first one. The deluxe hardcover came out a couple of weeks back. That is collecting all of that as well as an alternate ending, as well as a lead-in, I think, to this miniseries. I haven't read it yet. So we get a cover A and a cover B on that. Pretty stoked about reading that when it comes out. Ghostlore trade paperback volume 1, covering issues 1 through 4. That will be coming out. let's see. That actually doesn't come out, and we were talking about this pre-show. As of what Diamond is saying, it's not coming out till November. But go ahead and get your FOC order in so you can pick that up. We'll be talking about issue 4 tonight as well. House of Slaughter number 16, second print, like we just said a second ago. House of Slaughter 17 is also available on FOC. We get cover A, B, and C. That Spot UV variant, which Boom has gotten into. I'm looking forward to at least seeing what that looks like for that particular cover, because it's a pretty interesting looking cover. Then we get a House of Slaughter 17 unlockable. I guess it's the FOC unlockable.
Yeah, it's listed as G.
It's G. So yeah, there's a couple.
We have D, E, F, three others in between there.
Yep. The Jim Henson Power of Dark Crystal complete collection hardcover. And I want to look real quick because I haven't, to see what all that is collecting. It is collecting. It does not say everything that it's collecting. So complete collection. It's got everything. So it's got the Cy Spurrier stuff, the Philip Kennedy Johnson stuff. I guess it's just the Dark Power, or the Power of the Dark Crystal series that came out, which is the official sequel to the movie. It's the comic book version of a sequel that never came out. So that makes sense.
I thought it had like 2.
I thought there was extra stuff in it, like another series.
2 series in it.
Yeah, but it just says the Power of the Dark Crystal, the long-awaited official sequel to the beloved fantasy film. It's collected in its entirety for the first time in this premium hardcover.
Yeah, you can't find it on anybody's listing because they all have just copy and pasted that verbiage as far as I guess you would have to go to Boom's original. Well, no, I know where you can go. Let's see. Because wasn't this part of the Kickstarter?
Yeah. Or at least I think it was, because that was the whole
Dark Crystal 40th anniversary library. Yeah. So let's see here. Bear with me, guys. What is this called again, Chris? What's the
Power of the Dark Crystal Complete Collection.
Okay, this says Dark Crystal Tales Deluxe, Novel Deluxe. Choosing Okay, no, these that they were offering were the Creation Myths, the Age of Resistance in one hardcover, the Power of in one cover, and Beneath in one cover.
Well, that's what Power of is here.
Okay, so it's just the Power of the Dark Crystal maxi series, I guess, if you want to call it that. Okay.
Yeah, I did think it was going to be 2, but I guess not. So
yeah, I was thinking too, but it says here they have them all divvied up into individual books. So.
Yeah. Either way, you can check it out if you missed out on the Kickstarter. $75. So Mech Cadets number 1 of 6 second print, which we talked about earlier, is available. And then Once Upon a Time at the End of the World number 9, cover A and B. So those are all available. So good selection of books, different types of things. Lots of supernatural sort of magic based stuff, and then fantasy adventure, and then a little bit of sci-fi, and then whatever Once Upon a Time in the Future. Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, I guess
sexathon.
Romance.
Romance.
Post-apocalyptic romance.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Started a new genre with that one.
Leave it to Jason Aaron to come up with something.
I don't know.
I didn't put those 2 things together, but hey, that's what you want to go with.
Historical romance in the far future.
In the far future, yeah. It hasn't quite happened yet. But
yeah.
Do you want to hit what's coming out next week?
Sure thing. Looks like coming out, we can look forward to another assortment. It looks like about five of their ongoings, not counting trades. We start off with the Approach trade paperback at right at about $18
Mhm.
if you want to pick that up. The eighth issue of the 12 issue series Dune House of Harkonnen with 4 covers at least scheduled. We have the continuation of their new Pen and Ink with the Many Deaths of Layla Starr, issue
Mhm.
number 1, in 3 covers, which is very similar to what they did with the previous 2 that they've, or 1,
They've just
2.
had the Something Is Killing right now.
Is that the only one?
Yep.
Where did I see Berserker
Oh,
1
that's coming
listed
out
recently?
next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It just the A cover and then a spot UV cover and then a blank variant, and that's consistent with what they've been doing.
Mhm.
We have rare flavors, an A and a B cover listed with they don't even know who they're getting to do the B cover,
I
which
saw that. I was like,
is
"Why is this a
which
to
is
be determined?"
funny, but it's like, well, obviously it's been determined several months ago. They just
Yeah. Just haven't
whatever,
done it
they
yet.
don't want to tell us or what. Yeah, okay. I'm kind of looking forward to that one because I have kind of a, a leaning towards food based comic books, and typically
Oh,
I have
okay.
to go to manga to find them. But
That's true,
here,
yeah. Yeah.
will quasi. It's not quite food eating themed, but it is kind of close.
Yeah.
Sirens of the City, issue number 2. We've got 7,
Yep.
sorry, 7 covers listed there. And I do want to say, in a recent, um, not a, in a recent tweet, Peter Rios name checked us for talking about Sirens of the City, issue
Oh,
number
yeah. I
1
saw that, yeah.
in the episode a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Something is Killing the Children, issue number 32, with another 6 covers there at least for that one. As we, that one's got to be winding down soon for another break.
I don't know
32
because I mean, we
issues
just started a new arc, you know,
at 31, wasn't it?
at 31, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
so
I guess
it
not.
might
Okay.
be another 3 or 4. I know 33 is solicited. I don't know about 34 off the top of my head. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's they're going off on a pretty good click now.
We've got Specs trade paperback, $15 there. Uh, it was interesting. It
Mhm.
was entertaining. I was kind of let down with how they ended it, although it was a very viable ending. I mean, it wasn't that it detached from the story itself, but I thought that they could have ended it a lot more impactfully, a lot more
Yeah.
fiercely, and they didn't for whatever the reason they chose. Vampire Slayer Vampire Slayer Volume
Yeah.
3. There we go. Trade paperback for 17
You
bucks.
just it's so hard to say that still, even though that series has been going on for 16 issues now.
Vampire Slayer Volume 3. No, it's not Volume 3. It's just Volume 1, but it's yeah. And then finally, Wild's End issue 3 of 6, 4 covers there.
Mhm.
The D cover jumps out at me in particular.
Oh, for sure.
The David Peterson Virgin variant. So just a nice big piece of David Peterson art, which you can't
Can't
ever
complain.
go wrong with that. I mean, yeah. So just got done watching as a lot of his stuff dropped for the most recent Usagi Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
miniseries called Where When. Unfortunately, it was a retailer incentive, so it was like
Mm.
a 1 in 50,
Oh,
maybe I
geez,
think it
yeah.
was. Yeah, but there was one for each of the 5 issues. So
Yeah.
and they all fit together.
Oh, so all 5 of them did?
Yeah, and made
Oh,
one.
that would be
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. It's, but I will say, I think that the Stan Sakai black and white gatefold variant for each issue
Mhm.
would have been a better get. Now they didn't stitch together, but you would have had 5 2-panel pieces
Oh
of
yeah, yeah.
art of Stan Sakai in black and white. That's yeah.
That's pretty nice. Yeah.
Oh
I
man.
did see I went into a shop on Tuesday or Monday, one of the two. Not my regular shop, but it was after you and I had talked about them on
Mhm.
and and so I looked for them that because I knew of the series, I just failed to pick up the first issue and then forgot to pick up the rest. They had 2, 3, 4, and 5 and had the color gatefold covers for 3, 4, and 5, but
Nice.
they had
Okay.
no issue 1. Not in the back issues, not on the shelf, nowhere. And I was just kind of like, ugh. So I held off buying those. I will probably go back because I kind of regretted not buying them after I left. So, but the gatefold, the color gatefold covers are nice looking too. I can only imagine what they look like in the black and white.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's it for new stuff coming out next week. Which I mean, that's a good assortment to be talking about on the next episode of the show.
And
So,
Lone Star has issue number 1 in stock.
do they? Yeah, I guess
Mhm.
that's probably where I'm gonna end up getting them anyway. It's where they
Um,
get most of my money. Is
yeah,
it's
they've
with
got they say right now they've got the A, B, and C covers.
okay.
Um, which is the A is the single Stan Sakai. The B, I believe, is the Eastman.
Oh
The
yeah, I
C
saw a
is
couple
a
of those. Yeah,
yeah, it's a blank variant, and then they have a retailer incentive
the
by
Eastman is a blank variant. No, I'm sorry.
no the Eastman is B, and then C is a blank variant.
It
Yeah,
just has a
Eastman is
signature on the.
blank. Yeah, it's well. How do you know? Because he signed
He
that he
signed it.
didn't do it, or
Yeah,
that he did. Yeah, however you want to look
he
at that.
may have done it in white ink. You don't
Yeah,
know.
you don't know.
So, but it's
Um,
signed.
yeah, a retailer incentive by this. No, that's not. There it is. Sarah Meyer. It's if you've seen the covers, it's the one where he's holding his sword across,
Yeah,
and the turtles are reflected in the sword.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a Wolverine Hulk
Hmm. Yep.
homage kind of thing. Yeah, I have seen that
And then
one.
the Peterson is retailer incentive C, if for whatever reason you want to track that down.
Cool.
And actually, they do have an Eastman in black and white,
Oh, nice.
not just blank, but in black and white.
Yeah,
It's the D retailer incentive. So they
I'm
probably have
sure
that for all
my LCS got a weird. They probably looked strangely when they looked at my new ads to my pull list this week
5. Mhm.
because it was Usagi Yojimbo, Space Yojimbo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Okay.
um, Hellboy,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Gru. And that's what I added this week.
Okay.
Like,
That
and I
is an
picked up
interesting
like
ad.
I added all of the like one shots and the miniseries and stuff that are going on, and I was just like, because I pick them up individually every so often, but I don't pick them up on a regular basis. So I was like, nah, we're just gonna add them to the pull list because I do
Okay.
enjoy them when I do read them. I just don't keep up with them very often. So,
Gru.
um,
That's another book that needs to have a podcast. Be hard to do because a lot of it is sight gag, but
you talking about
I've never
Gru?
yeah, I've never heard
Oh, for
anybody
sure.
try yet. I sat down and tried to do a tick, several years ago, and I got a
No, that's
couple
so
episodes
hard.
in the bag, and I was like, "No, this isn't getting across what I'm seeing," so
Right.
I scrapped it. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into the reviews, I want to talk about since I was talking about being at shop and stuff like that. I haven't shown I haven't bought any Boom back issues in a while, so I picked up a few things. So if you follow me on Twitter, you already saw some of this. You saw all this stuff. So a sad story is a long time ago. I had to sell the first 12 issues of Something Is Killing the Children. I had all the variants, had all the second, third, fourth, 56 print, whatever it was, however many there were.
However,
Had
yeah,
all of
when
that
he
stuff.
went to.
I had all that stuff back when it wasn't. It was just worth cover price.
Right,
You know,
when it wasn't big. Yeah.
it wasn't big. I sold the issues when they were dirt cheap, just because I needed the cash for other things, and then maybe 6 months later, everything
It
skyrocketed.
kind of blew up.
The
Yeah.
Netflix announcement, or
Yeah.
it's just anyway. So I have picked up everything back. Well, at least cover A's back to issue 13. So I still don't have 1 through 12 up until last week. So I picked up. Now this isn't cover A, but I did pick up issue number 8. This is the second print. Because I was like, I don't recognize that cover. It's because it was the second print. I probably just didn't pay any attention to it when I bought it the first time. I was like, oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
So I got 8, so that's at least a good thing. But with cover A's, I did pick up 9, 10, and 12. I thought I picked up 11. Apparently, I just never pulled it out of the box.
Oh, but
So
they had it. And you
they
left
had
it.
it. They had several copies. So, and they had several copies of these too.
Why did you leave it?
I don't know. We were
Ah.
all look, and I meant to tell you this beforehand. In the middle of me looking through these back issue bins, there was a conversation that spun for half an hour, 45 minutes of me, another guy. Like I kind of stepped into it because they were just standing right where I needed to be. But one of the guys who was working at the shop and a couple of guys just in there just to talk. And it ranged, you'd have been right at home.
Okay.
So it talked about we talked about early or 70s and 80s comics just in general.
Okay.
We talked about black and white stuff. Like this guy was a particular collector. Once he kind of got into a thing, he just bought everything.
Mhm.
So we got talking about Eclipse.
Yes.
We got talking about he talked about a lot of manga that I'd never heard of before.
Okay.
And I was like, Ed probably knows this stuff. But he's like very like we talked about Tim Truman a lot. We talked about we got into the Eclipse thing was the big thing because that sort of ran like from series to series. This guy's just been collecting stuff. And this is right after last episode you and I had talked about that Eclipse Facebook group, which I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So, but it was much like talking to that guy. But yeah, he's just old school collector. He was picking up stuff that I've never heard of before, or I remember vaguely seeing on a shelf.
Right.
So we were going through pulling stuff out. This shop we were at probably had half the stuff that we were talking about. So we would pull something out of a box, go, this is what we're talking about, and or something to that effect. So, but it was a good conversation. So, it got me thinking of a lot of other, Timothy Truman comics and stuff I don't own or didn't even know existed. Right. So I was like, okay, we got some back issues, but I was like, I need to pick these up first. And so in those conversations, I just missed issue 11. So they've got it in the box. They had back into it was either 5 or 6, but those were like 40 plus, 50 plus dollars or something like that. So I was like,
Dude, yeah.
It's hard for me to justify that purchase.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I walked away from that. But then I also, and I think I even mentioned this before, I did pick up a store variant, which is not a thing I buy, but it is an Adam Hughes cover and I think this is issue 21 of Something is Killing. That is a pretty sweet looking cover. Now they do have a virgin cover, which I didn't know about until after I bought this. So I was like, oh crap, there's a virgin cover. Now, different thing about this looks like a nice bag and board and everything. But you can pull the comic out of the side for some reason. Like, I don't know why anyone would ever do that.
Is it designed that way, or is that
no? Someone cut the bag.
A bad bag, or
so
they fixed the bag like that. Okay.
I looked because I know when I opened the packaging, I used my knife. Right. I was like, oh God, did I cut it? I'm like, no, I didn't cut through it. So it was just like that. And I was like, okay, fine, sure. Works for me. So those are the books I picked up this week or this past week. Every week, I'm gonna try and pick up at least 1 or 2 books so we can talk about them here on the show. But those particular ones, I was like, sweet, those are some back issues I really, really needed. Now let's talk a little bit about whatever this contest is.
Okay.
Talk about the prizes. So Ed knows nothing other than what I told him right before the show.
Nope.
Doug actually,
Cheese
Doug's
dip.
got it. This cheese dip. That's all it
Grew.
is. Don't even know what the cheese dip is. So, but
Roberto.
so I got this in the mail.
Ah.
So if anybody can read that, that says a vicious circle.
Yes, it does.
So I had seen people on TikTok, maybe before the first issue came out, receiving a very similar box.
Okay.
And so I was like, so we got this from Boom, which we're very appreciative for
Absolutely.
the folks at Boom for sending this to us. So thank you very much. In this, they sent us paper.
All right.
So now I don't need to go to the store and get any paper. So I'm pretty stoked. But anyway, inside this big thing. Now, this is what I told Ed prior to the show. I'm gonna keep this, and if I get another one, I'll send it to you. It's just a candle that they commissioned with another company.
Oh, nice.
It's supposed to have this. The scent changing candle begins in 1950s New Orleans and ends in the Cretaceous, whatever the Cretaceous era.
Oh, now
So
that makes me
apparently, as
wanna
it
burn
burns
it.
down, the smell changes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I've smelled it. It kind of has a smell to it, but I am very although there's a ton of paper on my desk, so I'm a little weird to light a flame near it. But so that was very neat. We passed that around the house, and everybody was kind of like, I guess don't burn it down here, downstairs. So I was like, okay, don't worry, I won't. So here's what here's what they really sent us, or they sent us the candle for real. But hold a second. So they sent a second print of issue number 1 of A Vicious Circle.
Okay.
So with that mankind
Yeah.
looking cover, do you know WWE? You know what I'm talking about.
No Mankind.
And then they also sent book 2, cover A for book 2.
Nice.
It just came out a couple weeks ago.
On the show. Yeah.
So this now makes 3 episodes in a row that we have talked about The Vicious Circle in some way or another. So it's also sort of a form letter, cool thing, that they sent to everybody. This is dated July of 2023, so it is a new one. We just didn't get somebody's leftovers. I'm not saying we would have, but that's still, so what the contest will be something simple, because I don't want to Doug. Those don't sound like they would smell good. Stop it. Smell better than the cheese dip. Whatever that's in reference to.
I don't know. New Orleans could smell good. I mean, think of all the food down there. Now, the Cretaceous, okay, it's especially since the Cretaceous was what, 65 million years ago. It could be a little.
It doesn't carry a good.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some kind of contest. We'll announce the actual contest next episode, but these will be your prizes. Now, I will give you, whoever wins, I will give you an option. If you want the second print first issue, more power to you. I'll send it to you. If you want the first printing of cover A, I'll give you mine in its place. So that's completely up to you. Like I said, we'll kind of figure out a contest. More than likely, we'll just have, actually, this will be the contest. We're at episode 10. Episode 15 is our 100th episode. And so between now and then, all you need to do is comment on the show. Somewhere on YouTube, you need to comment on the show. That's it. It's a lot easier to do it that way than asking for subscribers and blah 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 blah. I would rather you just watch the show if you can and comment on it. It's got to be something about the show. Something that's not in the first 5 minutes, something that's not in the last. Whatever. I know folks will try and scam this. It's fine. But I'd much rather you watch a show, listen to the show, and when we get to episode 100, which will be episode 15 of this season, we will take everybody who's commented. We'll do one of those wheels that you see, people use on other YouTube and Twitter or Twitch shows and stuff like that. Put everybody's name in there. We'll spin the wheel a couple of times, and then whoever it lands on, that'll be our winner. So pretty simple. You ain't got to draw something. You ain't got to listen to 14 episodes over the course of a year to get all the first issues. John Wimmer.
I was going to say that was a good contest.
That was a really good contest.
First issue released for an entire calendar year,
and he got it. And
that was an awesome award. What do you prize? Yeah, all the ongoings, all the minis. It didn't matter. First issue, every first issue from Boom for whatever year that was. 2019? No.
So, no, it's further back than that.
17, something like that. But yeah.
He may have gotten I don't know. I might have to ask John. Maybe he got a copy of Something Is Killing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
It would depend.
I just thought about that. I was like, maybe. So, but anyway, so I look forward to doing that and giving somebody these books because these books are great. The third issue has not been solicited yet, so it's still a little ways off. But we'll be sort of getting you prepped for that so you can pick up the third issue. So,
all right,
cool, awesome. I'm pretty stoked about that. I was very excited when we got that box. I held on to that for several days without telling Ed. He had no clue.
Burn that candle and see what that smells like.
Not right now. Because I don't have a flame near me. All right, let's talk about the books that came out this week. I guess we could start with Mech Cadets.
Okay.
Since everything else is Mech Cadets. First issue, Mech Cadets. This is written by Greg Pak, illustrated by Takashi Miyazawa, colored by Ian Herring, letters by Simon Bolin. A bunch of covers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then designer is Nancy
Mojica, I would say.
Yeah, Mojica. So this issue, this series, it's literally a sequel from the first miniseries, 12-issue miniseries. It takes place shortly thereafter. It's been I think they said a month.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So they hit the ground running. They introduce no, it was a year ago. Sorry, not a month ago. It was a year ago.
Was it say a year?
Yeah, it says it right here on the first page.
Oh, a year ago, these facilities. Okay.
So so we get an introduction to to the team, to Super Robo Hero Force 2. So we get all those. Get the introduction to the team, to the kids, to the and all that, and sort of an explanation, basically a simple wrap-up story of the big conflict from the first miniseries, and so we get, it's sort of a big like a parade celebration. Basically, it's welcoming all the students back to the academy and all this other stuff, and you kind of think, oh, everything's good to go. No conflict, no struggles. Everybody's getting along, not so much. So we get, I forgot what Olivia's dad's actual rank is, but he's
it was a general,
but he's like one of the head dudes at the academy. You're led to believe, based off of his comments about the team and everything, that despite all the sort of going against the book, to kind of doing things their own way, they really, did a good job and all this other stuff. And then when Olivia, his daughter, who's the team leader, is talking to him, He's basically tells her, despite everything that you may have heard me say, you still screwed up because you didn't follow the rules. And you broke all the rules to get what needed to be done, basically to save the world. They had to
Right.
break a few eggs, but you went against, command and all this other stuff. And so um, you're still skating on thin ice. Again, it's been a year. You would have thought this conversation would have happened a year ago, and maybe it did,
Yeah.
but it's still very thin ice, as if it happened yesterday. So that's sort of the big thing. The kids are with their parents and family and friends are at the parade and everything like that. So it's a big sort of celebration thing. And Olivia is just basically by herself. Her dad just basically, upset her. And so he just like, whatever. And he goes off and they immediately get called to a mission. And so they go there. The really interesting thing is, because each of the cadets are bonded to these robos, um, you would kind of think that they would all be sort of the same type robo as far as like size and everything. But Olivia's is sort of this um uh giant. I mean, he's got to be 100 feet tall or something
That's
like that.
that's because they made that one, right?
Oh, is that the one that they made? That's right. You're right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. That is the one that they made. So all the other ones are the ones that came from space, and they're all
They
sort of
were.
miniature versions of this guy.
Well,
So,
but they're still like giant kaiju fighting
oh yeah,
robots
yeah, yeah.
compared
They're
to
still
us. I
huge.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, but that's the one that the Earth made. It was I think the concept was that it was made with the thought that it would be the only, and so in having to defend the whole Earth
yeah.
against whatever kind of unseen alien, they just went all out and made this big frickin', I don't know, 60, 75 story robot. I mean,
Oh yeah, because he's
it is
standing next
huge.
to this dam, fixing it by himself, or Olivia's fixing it with the robot by themselves. Um, and the
And
robot
it's
still towers
yeah,
like
it's
the dam
probably
comes up to like its
shoulders
yeah. It's
above a dam. Yeah, so it's like that is big.
yeah,
Whereas the other robots are floating around, trying to figure out what they can do to help, and
right.
they just look like little helper robots
Yeah,
compared to
it's
this
all the
big. This is the toy that you got, and the other robots are like the little figure that goes in the toy.
yes, exactly,
It's
yeah.
like, man,
This this is Transor Z with the little guy in the little helicopter.
right? Yeah, it's like, dude. And then the humans would be like ants
Yeah,
in the
even
little
smaller, yeah.
robots that are, yeah.
It's just crazy. So, now next to they're fixing the dam, and because of the dam broke, the town next to it flooded, which is where Stanford's mom lives and everything, and so he knows all of these people, and their powers out, everything's sort of in disarray, but the team gets called by command to go deal with the quote unquote looters at the supermarket, coming to find out that the reason that they're looting is that all the food's going to go bad, in a couple hours, because there's no power, no refrigeration or anything like that. And so the kids still sort of buck the system, and like, look, no, we know what the right thing to do here is. We're going to help these people the best we can. And so they do it. And just in there, this is one instance of it. There's probably, I think there's another one, but basically they strip Olivia of her command, because regardless of what command tells her to do, and they're trying to do everything by the book. So if they feel like people are stealing and robbing, that those people should be stopped. And she's like, there's more to it than that. And so she is evaluating the situation. Like, it seems like all of her situations, she evaluates the situation on the ground and makes a leadership call. I don't feel like anytime we've ever, even in the other miniseries, I don't feel Olivia ever makes a call that is, you know, reckless. Maybe reckless from a larger perspective, but something that is trying to help people. is
Right.
really what she's trying to do. So, but Command, her dad, still does not like that. They eventually strip her of her command in this, this issue, just sort of to ground her, to like literally ground her, but she still is able to, fly the robo. But then turns around and gives one of her teammates command, who is one of those Sanchez, Mech Cadet Sanchez, who is a by the book kind of person when it comes to classwork and grades and that kind of thing. But this team has been together for over a year now. They've bonded with one another, so they're looking out for one another, and she lets Olivia know that, like, look, let's just go by the book. Let's get this, whatever the next mission is, taken care of. They'll see that everything's good with you. You'll get command back. Everything will be
Right.
fine. And it's just like, she's like, I don't want this. They took it away from you. You should be in command. And so Olivia knows these are my friends. These are the people who are looking out for me, even if her dad isn't. So I enjoy that kind of team building. I mean, the team's already been built, but it's a continuation of what we've already read in the first. But it's very it's 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 referencing everything that's happened already for those that have already read the first miniseries. But you don't have to have read the first miniseries.
No.
These relationships are sort of redefined, um, uh, just for those, for old readers, but defined for people who've not read that. And I think it's people who are coming from, again, not having seen the show, and you've told me a little bit about it already, but people who are interested in reading, further adventures or whatever like that. I do think, that they're establishing sort of I don't say a feel good kind of story, but it's not a complicated story. I mean, it's very cut and dry. Um, it's not a very sort of, um, it's a go team kind of thing, but there is conflict there. There's emotion there. These are pretty well rounded characters just in one issue. We get more to it toward the end. There's a bigger threat that sort of appears. That's probably going to be the threat of the rest of the series, or it leads to whatever that threat might be. Command is still very xenophobic. Does not, if you have any kind of interaction with any kind of alien, they are very cut you off, don't want anything to do with you, because they're afraid that you will infect the world, or you yourself are compromised and you will pose some kind of security threat to them or to the world. And we see that at the end of this issue with someone that is very close to people on the team, and so we see what their reaction is and how they handle it and stuff like that. So I felt that this issue in and of itself is a really good first issue for a new series or a sequel. I think it hits a lot of those beats that it needs to hit, to bring in new and keep old, readers. The art's really good. It's not, it is not what I would say is like super manga influenced or anime influenced. It's very kind of, it's a good sort of middle style that's sort of like, I hate to say sort of Marvel House style, but it's clean line work. It's I don't know, it's hard for me to describe, which is good. I mean, I think it's sort of its own thing. Um but it's a really good first issue, and I was pretty stoked to when I got to the last page. So
It's a fun
so what'd you
read.
think?
Fun read. Yeah, I guess almost, the bias would be, with the last name that the artist has, that it would be a heavily manga influenced book,
Right, yeah.
which it if you've read enough manga, you can see it in there.
Oh,
But
sure. Yeah.
it certainly has more of a the intent is to appeal to Western audiences with the art.
Yeah.
So it, it there are times that you can see that it has a manga influence or even an anime influence in the styling, but
Mhm.
that's only if you have watched or read enough of those Japanese versions to pick it up. If
Right.
you're not familiar with those, the art looks like the art. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing I thought that was distracting or
Yeah.
um, fuzzy about it or anything like that. It was very uh, workable art for the style and the different aspects of this story. There's space. They're on Earth. There's interpersonal. There's giant robots. There's aliens. And I thought that the art did a really good job of reflecting all of those. It's not it. It could be described as being cartoony, although in my mind there are other artists that I think of when I think of the word and hear the word cartoony.
Yeah.
It's not the most detailed art. There are other artists that come to mind for that, realistic and all those kind of things. It's a very uh, a very good blending of all of these different aspects.
Oh, yeah. That's why I
Uh,
was trying to come up with, like, a comparison, and I really
I
couldn't. I
I
really thought it was sort of its own thing.
Yeah, there's not there. I even see a little bit of Daniel Warren Johnson in here. Um, which really struck me, particularly in some of the space scenes and some of the kaiju
Yeah.
scenes, the bigger robot scenes. It looks to me, which I it couldn't be really, I don't believe, Daniel Warren Johnson. I would think that both of these artists have been influenced by someone that I just am not
Right.
familiar with.
Yeah.
Uh, but it doesn't. I can't say that the art really reminds me of somebody,
Mhm.
except for this kind of thing. It's like, no, it's unique enough that it is his or hers. I don't know the appropriate gender of the artist. Um, Distinctive to they them
Yeah.
as far as I can, going through my mind. Very the coloring is now the coloring. Yeah, there's a part of me that was expecting a bright color palette because it's giant robots and it's kind of slanted in a way to a younger audience, but
Mhm.
um, not like hard. Oh yeah, it's slanted to no, it's not like that either. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all of these different aspects that you would think when you see whatever the title, when you see, well, there's an animated series. It's about giant robots and aliens. All of these different art styles that you may have in your head because of those different things. It's not really any of those.
Oh, yeah.
It's pieces and parts of all of these things, but it's not controlled or it doesn't rely heavily on a lot of the artistic tropes of these different types of stories or story elements.
Mhm.
It's a really entertaining blend of all of that. Um, even the A cover almost put me in mind of, oh, okay, I can, I kind of feel what the story is going to be like, and by extension, what the art's going to be like. But when I opened the book, it was like, well, no, it wasn't really that either. So it's good. It's enjoyable. Now, for those of you that don't have any experience with this artist Miyazawa, if you if you watch the animated series, this art is not like that art. Don't come to
Oh,
this
yeah. I've
thinking that's
seen
what you're going to
clips,
get.
yeah.
It the art style for the animation kind of at times puts me off because it's a very advanced animation style for current animation.
Yeah.
They're trying to push this almost CGI aspect, but then they kind of pull back because they don't want to quite go that far.
Yeah.
But and I just I wish that the animation they could almost cartoon it up a little bit and get away with it just fine. But it's
Oh
a
yeah.
very
Yeah.
um, Chris, do you remember the really on the edge avant-garde cartoon
I know what you're getting ready to
reboot?
say. Yes, I knew that's what you're going to say.
Okay, that
Because that's what
they
I
have,
was thinking. Yeah, because I again I've not watched the show, but I have seen clips,
yeah,
and the very first thing I thought of was Reboot because I was
yeah.
like that Reboot had a very polished, and like when I say polished, like a shine to it, like a
Mhm.
literal shine to it, and so that was off putting for me even when I saw it when it first came out. But it does have a very familiar or a very similar
Yeah,
style to it.
it's
What they were trying, the what they were trying to do with it, and so I kind of like the animation that I've seen so far of the animated series, but it is definitely way different than what you see in
oh,
the comic.
yeah,
So
yeah, don't and vice versa. Don't read the comic book and then go sit down and watch Netflix and
yeah,
expect the same style of animation. They're really they use really um actually the new Usagi cartoon was very similar to this also.
oh okay,
Different color palette, but the animation was very similar.
yeah,
Um, very high end for what animation is
oh
nowadays.
yeah, yeah, for sure,
Is what they've tried to do with that. So
yeah,
uh, the book, though, I enjoyed it. I like the fact that you don't really have to have read the first series.
yeah,
It would add to the story, but it doesn't add to it in such a way that you need it in order to
yeah.
pick this up and just start reading it. Within 4 or 5 pages, you have everything
Oh
um,
yeah, I felt
that
like
you
I was
need.
caught up and ready to go. Yeah,
Yeah. You're not missing anything. There's no questions. Um, now, cool thing at the end, if you read the first series, at the end of the book, you finally see somebody that you hadn't seen
yeah,
in this issue up until the very end from the first series. But
yeah,
you don't need to know that because it doesn't necessarily play a part. They don't play that up in the way that that end scene is written.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, yeah.
good fun stuff though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's always the worry that I have when we get into sequel series. There's always a fear that it's gonna lean either too heavy toward the people who you had to read what had come
Hmm.
before,
Right.
and but or it would, like, completely separate itself to where it's sort of a sequel kinda in name,
Right.
kinda
Right.
thing.
Yeah. There is
Um
no connection.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
always that worry for me, and I think a lot of people have done a successful job of doing, what's been done here, but I do think that Pac and Mrs. R have done a really, really good job of sort of bridging that gap and allowing new and old readers to sort of jump in at the same time and sort of on an equalish ground. So,
Right.
but good stuff. Yeah.
We also need to recognize Hyper Potato in the house
I
here.
know I saw Hyper in there.
He's apparently a vampire,
He's
and
a vampire now.
the word likes the taste of his blood. So
It's a Smashing Pumpkins lyric. Also says the world sucks. And that's what
mm.
that's what, that was always what I took from that line. So it's like, oh, the world is a vampire. It sucks. So
All right, let's
all right,
take
so
a
where do you
look
want to go
at
next?
Damn Them All,
All right.
issue 7, which is interesting because initially the series was only scheduled to be 6 issues, and
Yep.
then below about 2 or 3, they moved it to ongoing. So This is new material, let's say.
Yep. Newish material.
So yeah. First up, the creators are Simon Spurrier, writing, Charlie Adlard illustrating, colored by Sophia Dogson, I believe, with assists on the coloring by Daniel Silva de Cavallo, lettered by Jim Campbell. The logo, the logo is designed by Tom Muller. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an A cover. So at least 6 covers for this issue 7. 6 covers for a 7th issue. That
yeah.
is, yeah. Now, first, I want to get off my chest that I don't think that this book, given that it is Spurrier and Adlard, is getting the amount of press that they deserve.
Oh, for sure.
As well that the book deserves. And in my mind, fair or unfair that it may be, my elevator pitch for the book honestly would have to be it's a female John, and his name just left me as I'm getting to it.
Constantine or Tom?
Yes, a female John Constantine. Not the Keanu version, the comic book version, the Sting version.
Very fair.
If we're gonna compare it to famous people, it's and for those of you that may not be aware, probably everybody listening is, but somebody may not be. It's purported that John Constantine was patterned after Sting when he was initially drawn way back. An appearance in Swamp Thing, as he was being written by Swamp Thing Morrison or Alan Moore, not Morrison.
Alan Moore,
Alan, during the Alan Moore run, it was John Constantine popped up there. So, Ellie is our protagonist. She is a female. Maybe you would call her I think a hedge witch. Maybe would be a good
I'm not
description
sure
of
what the term would be.
But she has gotten embroiled in a situation where, unfortunately, a family member, it was her uncle, was involved in the freeing of 72 demons of a particular level in the hell hierarchy. Turns out, I believe that most of these guys are of this same level. They're all whatever dukes or archdukes or whatever this level is going to be. But they've been freed and they've been tied to totems, to where human beings can control the demon if you get a hold of the totem that it has been bound to. Having the totem gives you the right, by extension, to command the demon. And in as far as its abilities will allow it, it is, by law, then it has to do what you command it to do. Again, given the abilities that it possesses. A lot like magic users, if you want to think about it that way. The demons have different focuses of what they can and can't do. And if in general they can do most things that people can do, but if you ask them to do the more powerful supernaturally things, some will and some won't be able to do these things. And so the issue is that more and more humans are becoming aware that these totems exist that allow them to control magical beings and thus grant 8 million wishes. Oh, no, wait, that's a different. Sorry. To do what they want done. And the more intelligent humans know that they will be more powerful if they have more totems, because they will have more. I don't know that it's widely known that they're demons, but they do know that they will have more magical beings at their command and can do, with them as they wish, because as long as they possess this totem, even if you ask the demon to do the most egregious thing and it's in its power to do, it will do it because it's been commanded to do it. So,
Yep.
you can whatever, let your imagination run wild. Um, and so for two reasons. One, because Ellie has the ability to quote unquote combat this, but also because her uncle was the one that set all this in motion. She feels compelled to be involved and try to fix, I guess, this situation. In the first six issues, she basically what she will do is she has a totem. It's been the same totem since she first got it, so that she has one of these beings and can use it, but she uses it in such a way that and the name is this big Latin name that I'm kind of afraid to say out loud because I don't know what it means anyways. So um, I'm very serious about that. When they start chanting spells and stuff
Oh
like that,
yeah.
I don't read it. I don't utter it. I
You
just like
just
the first couple words. I'm like, oh, spell,
nope.
okay, and then
Yep.
it's yeah. I am
Moving
not.
on.
I have no idea. Um, the demon realizes that she is one of the good ones, even though we're dealing with a demon here.
Yeah.
And so it even is first it wants to stay under her control, but it's also a little bit willing maybe to do things that demons wouldn't normally do
Hmm.
because it kind of has an affection now for Ellie.
Yeah.
Um, so when she gets a hold of a totem, however she may get a hold of it, she dispels it by telling the demon to go back to hell. And uh, because she has a totem, she, well, because she controls that particular totem and the demon has to do what she says, if she releases it, it's released.
Yeah.
So that is one less demon that somebody else can get a hold of and control because it's been freed, and it doesn't get freed here. Like I say, it gets freed and it goes back home, which is whatever level of hell these guys are from. So she freed, I don't know, four or five probably in the first six issues.
Hmm.
Um, she started out as being I guess, a fixer for an organized crime lord in London, England,
Hmm.
is what she was, as just the normal magic user that she was to begin with, which she also, we found out, learned from her uncle. And so then, when she came in possession of one of the tokens, she became even more um, important to her mob boss. A lot of crap went down in the first series. There was a big throwdown between two or three mob bosses, one of which had multiple tokens, and Ellie with just her one token. And, through the very typical John Constantine esque manipulation of things, even with just her single token, she was able to
Oh yeah.
win the final battle for that chapter of the story.
Well, and I also think based off of just her knowledge of it, because I think a lot of these totems, and I can't honestly, I can't remember kind of how the last issue went, but I think a lot of these folks who have gotten these totems know enough to get in trouble, but don't know enough to get themselves out of it. And she has been around this for so long
Mhm.
that, yeah, with a single one, she has, at least the skill to sort of come out on top
Between
most of
her
the time.
knowledge of magic, but then also her knowledge of demonology, or
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
the demon society works. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
whereas just a schlub that realized that this token allows me to grant wishes, they're not necessarily going to know the rules
Yeah.
of engagement, let's say,
Exactly.
whereas Ellie does.
Yeah.
Um, this issue, we do finally start getting a little bit more background about Ellie. Um, I'm not sure how it's going to play a part. I imagine that in this next chapter, it will be a pretty major part because
Mhm.
it's not something that we've seen a whole lot of in the first chapter. Was why is Ellie Ellie?
Yeah.
She would hint at it, and it was negative as to why she is the way she is and knows the things she knows.
Mhm.
She never spoke positively about her journey to where she's at. So we're seeing a portion of it after maybe she had spent time with her uncle, but had gotten away from him. Maybe because the flashback that we see is not, I don't believe, with her uncle. It's
I hope not.
well, I believe this is the same dude that pops up at the end of the issue.
It
So
is, yeah.
okay, well, her uncle's dead, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't be him. So
Yeah, it was just the way you said that, I was like, "No, that was not him."
yeah. And so this first issue is a very first issue, excuse me. This first issue of the next chapter, this
Yeah.
issue 7, is very much a an introduction to the story that is going to come. Some things are being set up. Like I say, we're probably going to see a little bit more flashback.
Yeah.
The main issue is being set up as far as what the thing is that she has to find out or
Mhm.
overcome or what have you to drive the story. We're introduced to that. Um, we even go so far as to find out who, as far as that question, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where we're left by the end of the issue. We find another, uh, maybe schlub, maybe a little bit more that has a token, and the the demon in his possession. That's the who. Don't really like this page here, Chris. What is it? Page 7 or page yeah, 7 from the papers of Alfred Hawthorne, that little
Yeah.
tic-tac-toe board. Yeah, I
Mhm.
just zoomed right by that. I didn't even look at that. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna mess with that.
Like, moving
Um,
on.
yeah. And just like I say, it's a very introductory portion of this next chapter. We get a little bit of some people that are going to be important. We have a person from the flashback that she had is a person that she encounters at the end of the story. So already in one aspect, you have a full circle kind of issue happen there,
Mhm.
and very as far as the artwork, it's a very dirty, grungy, gritty kind of artwork. You can feel the artwork as you look through the book. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
tactily feel that because it's not the clean and shiny London. It's the common
It's
everyday
that underbelly.
work for a living kind
Yeah.
of John Constantine kind of feeling, which look up Simon Spurrier and you'll see perhaps why there's
Oh,
that
yeah.
connection. Um, and so it's Ellie she is not a good person. Um, I don't know that I would go as far as to say she's an evil person,
No, I don't think that.
but I don't know that you can't say that she's a bad person.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So so it's the a popular kind of phrase or concept is an anti-hero, but
Mhm.
I don't know that I would even feel comfortable using that for this character because of that word hero. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily know that there's anything heroic that we have seen from her in 7 issues so far. She does things that benefits mankind,
She
however you
feels
wanna
responsible or some level of
some level, I
responsibility.
mean, she could still walk away and just not have anything to do
Oh,
with any of it,
sure. Yeah.
especially once she got a token. She
Yeah.
could be safe forever once she
Oh,
had
yeah.
her own demon. It's like, whatever. Um, but yeah, the artwork, very darkish colors, a very uh, non-happy, cheery palette.
Mhm.
grittiness everywhere, smoggy, foggy, smoky kind of images, and just uh, ichor and gore when the magic is used and people are killed and the demons. It's just a very dirty kind of,
Oh yeah.
yeah, kind of feeling in the artwork and in the story itself. So Adlard and Spurrier. This is currently one of my uh, definitely top 10 books, maybe top 5 books that I'm reading right now.
Nice.
I really, really enjoy the book.
I've been a fan of both of them for just for their work that they've done in the past. I mean, obviously with Adlard, it's Walking
Uh,
Dead for
well, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Um, I'm a huge Walking Dead comic fan. And Spurrier has written so many different things that I've read. Uh, and Hellblazer being one of the first places I've read his
Mhm.
work and just sort of followed along. And his stuff has been pretty diverse at times. So he's not sort of a one note like supernatural is not his sort of only, kind of foray to dive into. He's done a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But when he does do it, he's really, really good at
He does it really well.
it.
Yeah.
So uh I did enjoy there was one little scene talking about her Ellie being sort of smart enough to know the demonology sort of loopholes where so the demon that's with her tells her I can't help you here
Mm, mhm,
because
mhm.
of this, because
She's
of
like,
these rules.
"Oh,
And she's
but you
like,
can."
well, technically, the body that you inhabit is
Uh,
a dog.
right. Yeah, it's like, "Well, you can't do that, but you can do this, which
Right.
then lets you do that, which then lets you do this, which
Yeah,
accomplishes what I need you to do."
exactly. And
So, yeah.
he's like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, I could
yeah,
do that.
yeah." So it's yeah.
Because there's that one point where she's telling him and he doesn't say anything to her, and she's like, am I just talking to myself? And he's like, no, it's just I was yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
he's just following along, and he's
yeah,
like, "Yeah, I guess I can do that."
yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, this is a great book. I need to go back and reread the first 6 issues again because I feel like I've read so much since then, and I
Mhm.
read all of that catching up for issue 6
Oh,
at
okay.
one time. So I more sort of speed read it to just get it in my brain for the time. So I need to go back and I remember reading the first issue when it came out and really really enjoying it, and then just didn't read two two through five until issue 6 came out.
Yeah, that the
Um,
last half of that chapter just got so messy.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
backstabbing and front stabbing and side stabbing and this person. It's just like, oh man, yeah.
it's a lot going on, but good
Yep.
stuff. All right, let's jump into House of Slaughter number 16. Again, it's the first part of the Alabaster story arc. Series is developed by James Tynion IV, written by Sam Johns, illustrated by Letizia uh, Kenan. How did we say that before? Kenanisi?
Let me
Kenna.
see. Let's see.
I apologize for butchering these names.
Kendon, probably Kendonichi is how I would
Kenanichi.
say.
Okay. All right.
Kendonichi.
Colored by Francesco Segala and letter by And World Designs Justin Birch. Design development by Werther Del Dera.
Deladare. Yep.
And designer is Grace Park. So, House Slaughter, obviously created by Tynan and Deladera. So, yeah. So this, I do feel like this series primarily focuses on the white masks.
Mhm.
A lot of, or at least a lot of it does. Um, so the gist of this, you could come into this particular issue not having read anything prior. I think this does a really solid job of just sort of establishing the house, who the White Masks are, it's literally unimportant who all of these different ones are,
Right. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the focus is on Bait, which is um, this this arc will explain his story. So there's been hints and stuff like that along the way. So I don't really feel like I want to get into all of that because, like I said, I really feel like this is sort of a standalone story arc, or at least it's presenting itself to be. Um, so basically, White Masks hunt monsters in packs, and uh, Bait, who is a small child, um, who does not have arms.
Paraplegic. Well, no,
Paraplegic.
not paraplegic because he doesn't have them. So he's
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
So
the word for
yeah,
that
so
is. Yeah.
they do make a comment that he didn't he's not that he never had them, he just or never he lost them, he just never had
Right.
them.
Yeah. It's not congenital.
Yeah, so there is so most of this uh issue is sort of the White Masks talking to one another, the older ones telling the newer ones sort of who he is, sort of what his role and everything is. There's some flashback to, like, the what Alabaster has to do with the White Masks. So there's some good history being added there. Um, and then sort of Bait gets his mission, which is more recon than anything. And then we get to see his totem, which is kind of neat, which is basically paper dolls.
Where did that even come from?
I don't know. Yeah. Now, one thing that they make very clear is that uh, Bait is very self sufficient. He has learned uh, how to maneuver the world with just his feet, basically. Um, he does not talk. Um, Now, they've not said he's a mute. They just say he doesn't talk. So we don't know that. We don't know why that, for what that is, or why that is. But again, maybe we'll find out in this arc. Um, but he is sent to, I guess it's an orphanage or a kid's home. I forget what the actual place is, but he gets sent to this place because um, the children in this area, this small podunk town, as they describe it, are being killed, and obviously something is killing the children. Yes, the whole point of it is monsters killing children. So he gets sent in, and he is used by the White Masks literally as bait to draw out these monsters. And so they have sort of an idea of what the monster could be and all this other stuff. So he's sent in there to basically recon, get information, and be bait to draw the monsters out. So he does have two other White Masks who are sort of waiting in the wings, sort of there when something goes down to sort of jump in.
Well, I thought the phrase that they used for them was pretty amusing considering he doesn't have arms. They referred to the other two as his handlers. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
nice.
okay, okay.
But in the really, at least from the outside perspective, is that he takes all of this like this is important to him. This is his role. He knows what his role is. He's not, frail to the point where he can't handle himself in an emergency. And I like that they have created this character for this series, that is like this. Um because this is showing that the house brings in everybody. Not that the house is very inclusive and all this other stuff, but it shows that everybody is susceptible to these monsters. These monsters do not care. And so and we've seen with Erica and Something is Killing sort of her origin story and how she came along. We've seen Aaron's, story of, what, you know, being young and dealing with the monsters and becoming part of the house and everything. So all of these kids, regardless of how old they are, they all had their sort of origin point of being brought into the house. And they all know that, once they're there and they, get their totem and they're part of the house, they get their masks, they get their teeth, they all have a role in what they do. And so Bait accepts his. um, it's just I'm very curious about what this arc will be. Now his totem, which like I said are paper monkeys or paper dolls, but they're the monkey shapes. Um, that are like, well, the monkey in the barrel ones.
Mhm.
Or at least that's what they look like to me. So they go around this house after he's been brought in and shown his room and his bed and everything, and he just kind of goes to sleep. And these little paper dolls light up and take a trip around the house to kind of get themselves acquainted with who's there and start taking sort of mental notes amongst themselves, keeping in mind, if you're not aware, totems are the monster that is tied to that kid. So either, so the kid has to basically face this monster and basically trap him in this totem. And so this is Bait. So we don't know what it is. But it's very funny because he's just walking around like, I this one's just so cute. I can't, I really want to know if we get to take him home. I don't know what you do with him. We're gonna eat him. A real, this one I really hope is not the one, whatever that means. Which one's the bully? Which one, it's just like they're just going around just sort of making mental notes of everybody. So I don't remember if we know how many issues this arc is. Uh, so I don't know how the pacing of this is going to be, but at least we're kind of here. We've kind of introduced a little more of who Bait is, a little bit more about the White Masks, about, sort of their origins as a whole. Um, so it's just, I think it's a pretty good issue, um, for this opening arc or for this new arc. So, I'm not much more I can say. It's just I'm curious what we see next.
The whole Alabaster scene was over my head, where they were selecting people to start the New Amsterdam colony.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I was trying to, and I'm hoping there'll be more to that because I didn't see exactly what I was supposed to learn from that. And
she's
other than
talking about the uh, about Alabaster.
right,
So
yeah,
it's the not House of Alabaster, but
mhm,
the Alabaster Banner is how it's referred to, I guess, which is kind of like the Cutter House and
yeah,
the Butcher House and the so I guess Alabaster is a subset of the houses, just like all of the different masks are.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It was too deep for me. I was confused yet again.
Well, so it says there's a reason we house the White Masks while the European houses still rally under the Alabaster banner. And it all started with House Cutter. So it seems like the one brother Alabaster just sort of took it upon himself, like, I'm tired of all of what's happening here. I'm just going to go to the States and start my own thing, new house or something. Like
Well,
it,
the other masks. Okay, they're starting a new house is what I take this to be.
Yes.
The New Amsterdam settlement. So they're starting a new house in New Amsterdam. This is undoubtedly somewhere else in Europe because
Mhm.
that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Um, and the there's three there's three colors, three masks, and they pick a protege to be their place, the head of in the new settlement. So they're picking who is going to head the red masks in the new settlement, the turquoise mask, etc. And the when it comes time for the alabaster mask to set forth his protege, he says that it's not possible for me to have a protege, so I'm going myself. And they're like,
Yes. Yeah.
"What? Of course you could have a protege. We
Mhm.
all do." So, and he's like, "Well, no." And then he goes into explaining why it is not possible for him to have a protege, and that's just where I got lost. I'm like,
Yeah.
um, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just go through it again sometime and see if something
Yeah.
sinks in. But it just
I was gonna do that for the next issue if we get some more of this because, I mean, the story arc's Dame Alabaster, so I feel like we're
right,
gonna be
yeah,
getting this bait story, but we're also gonna be getting this story too. And, I mean, like, part of it is him talking about how Alabaster itself is weak and that this is, the Alabaster ball that he has is, the idol that they're being used, but, it's flawed, it can be cracked, it can be damaged, by taking on little hits and stuff like that. And so he was trying to he wants to get away from, you know, the alabaster because it doesn't have the strength that it needs. And so he's, wanting to create a new faction that's not tied to he says to the totem, but to the order. Um, but
okay.
then
So
once in America, he'll rally a new team.
this is the origin of the white masks, is what this
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
They used to be alabaster,
Yeah.
although maybe they have always been alabaster, and we have just called them white masks. I thought I have seen a reference to white masks.
Oh, no, they refer to, even in the beginning of this issue, they refer to themselves as white masks.
Okay, so
But I
somewhere
think
along the
what's
way they
happening here is that this is literally the origin of, yeah, like you said, of the white mask, but it's, as you see, there's no all of the people there are all wearing different colored masks. So we're at
mhm.
the, like, early stages.
Right, right. Yeah.
So maybe it's, the white mask, because the white mask are the pack hunters. And so maybe this is the, like, sort of it that wasn't the case prior to that. And as he moves on to the States, he's talking about building a new faction, and they're going to be using fighting with numbers, and because they fight better that way, and da 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 da. Da. So yeah, this is sort of the origin of the white masks, and sort of how they, come to be different from everybody else.
And
Um,
from the alabaster masks,
yeah.
apparently,
So,
which
but
so
again, hopefully we'll get a little more of this next issue. They'll kind of explain things. I really don't think that this is sort of, we're just going to drop this in this issue and kind of forget
no,
about it. I think we'll
no.
get more of it. So, but yeah, I think it's, like I said, a pretty good start to this arc. And we'll kind of, all of the story arcs that we've had in House of Slaughter have added a little bit more to the lore. Some have been better than others. Um, I don't think all of them have started off strong and ended strong. I think they have highs and lows. Um, but at the same time, I'm always very hopeful when I go into a new arc, and we'll see where we go from here. I just love this world. So my, it's not even my expectations. It's just the want of it to build into something, larger as it goes. And I feel like we're only getting little bits at a time. And I'm just like, no, just one time use the shovel, you know, and just dump a bunch of information in front of me.
Right. Yeah.
The spoon feeding is killing me. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. I don't know what he's talking about. Hyper, you're
Okay.
killing me, man, in the chat. I
Thank
appreciate
you. Yeah.
it. All right. So we got one last book, Ghostlore number 4.
Brought to us by Mr. Cullen Bunn, illustrated by Leo Max, colored by Jason Wordy, lettered by Ed Dukeshire. Looks like 4 covers here with designers being Samantha Glow and Grace Park.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we pretty much have settled in on the fact that this is the story of Lucas, dad, and Harmony, daughter. Harmony, we don't really see necessarily anything different about her. She seems just a daughter who is finally trying to get out from under her dad as she
Yeah.
is composing a letter for the first uh, quarter of the book.
Yeah.
Is this issue is what that is. Cut to her dad, who is at his church, or what used to be his church. He's a lapsed preacher because of issues that happened in the first issue of the book. Um, he's visited by a dude that we have seen before, briefly, but we have seen him before. And the dude maybe causes something to happen. At the very least, he sees what happens because Lucas encounters a ghost.
Yeah.
Which is where the story has gone. Lucas and his daughter have the ability to see ghosts, or and communicate with them. And in doing so, we have been led to believe that they have a very specific task, Lucas and Harmony, that is the impetus for why they can see and communicate with ghosts. There's a very particular reason why they whatever, have found the abilities, have been given the abilities, were born with the abilities. That's kind of in question as to how they have come by these abilities. All we need to know so far is that they have them. So Lucas encounters a woman in the church, which she is I think maybe more connected to a particular location than any of the other ghosts that we've seen so far. Um, but she tells her story. He forgives her, I guess is what she's after. But
Yeah.
it that is not enough in this particular case to set her free because her um, her sins, I guess, were so severe that just being forgiven was not enough. So Lucas has to take things a little bit more physically in his hands to free her, which is funny because at this point it doesn't seem like he is trying to free her. Uh,
See, that's the thing about last issue and this issue. Like, he immediately becomes very violent with the ghosts. Like, there's no, they tell him their story, and then he immediately attacks them. And I'm like, dude, what the frick is going on
so,
here?
so maybe it's almost getting to be where he has to kill them again.
Or he feels he needs to.
But
I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah.
this time he completely wrecks his
Oh
former
yeah.
church, um, and the whole time this dude that came in, if he didn't start it, he saw everything that happened.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
knew what Lucas was doing. You can just tell by his reactions. We then cut back to the daughter, who is still trying to leave and get out from under her dad. She decides not to leave the letter that she was going to leave. Instead, she crumbles it up, and as she's walking down the road away from the previous life, the crumbled letter just whatever it dissipates or it erupts in some sort of spiritual
Yeah.
flame, or it does something supernatural, which is like that isn't what she does. It's not anything we've seen her do.
Yeah.
As far as we know, it was just a regular piece of paper in a regular envelope, so it's like, what? Yeah.
Then
So
why did it do that?
yeah, yeah, it's symbolically, and as far as the story, I think it's pretty obvious why.
Mhm.
But the how, I just, and much like you've noticed about uh, Lucas's engagement with the ghosts of late, it just their their difference from humanity, that whatever these powers are that Harmony and Lucas have, seems to be getting more intense,
Yeah.
or it seems to be ratcheting up what it is they're supposed to do, or what they can do, or some combination. Things
Well,
are
it's like
just
neither one of them still even know what they're supposed to do, and I think
mm,
that's Harmony's thing, is that she's like, "If I continue to stay here based off of how her dad handles everything," like, she's still holding on to she's still confused why her mom isn't around, like
right.
the ghost of her mother. And so she's kind of gotten to the point where she's concerned if her mom does show up, but shows up to her dad and not her first,
What?
what's
Yeah,
going
how
to
he's going to
happen?
react? Yeah.
And so either she's separating herself from him in order that she hopes that she finds her mother or finds some means to get to her mother before he does, or she at least is feeling the two of them are dealing with this differently, and that they need to really separate themselves in order to understand it better on their own, because neither one of them currently, however much time has passed, have learned anything.
Right. Yeah.
They just know that they both react very differently when when presented by some when one of these ghosts show up. Now the homeless dude, I forget what his, I don't know. Do we even know? Have we been
I
given
don't.
his name yet?
I don't think he was
But
given a name.
he definitely has, like, he's in encouraging her dad to attack this ghost. Now, I'm not sure that he attacked just to attack, but you know, he's like, yes, you're free, but he's telling the ghost that even as he's going for the candlestick.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I'm just going to tell you this while I grab this over here, and and then start wailing on you. But the ghost is confused because she makes a comment about, you were supposed to be the escape, the transition, you were supposed to be the way out. And so we've seen other ghosts speak to the two of them, and once their story is heard, or whatever they have to say is heard, then they do sort of move
Hmm.
on. So we know that's the goal, but for whatever reason, our reverend here has become like, that's not a thing he wants to do. Like, he's angry that he has this ability, maybe, that's why he's lashing out, or or something. So this new guy is the homeless guy is encouraging this, and even says to him, yeah, you're right, you're done with this church here, but you still have a new flock to preach to or speak at or whatever. So he's going to bring him to his group of people, which I really feel is only going to make things obviously worse,
Hmm.
uh for him. So it's like, this is a 12 issue arc, so, or 12 issue series. So, we're still pretty early in the game here, but I do think we're sort of seeing those, where the conflicts are going to be coming at and all that. So I really enjoyed this issue. It was just one of those things like, I'm still like, I don't understand where the anger and the violence comes from when it comes with the Reverend. So, you know, I'm hoping to get a little more of that as we move on. And I'm sure we will. I mean, Cullen Bunn's, I really feel like he paces things out in his own way. And by the time you finish the story, yeah, you've got the complete story.
Right.
So I'm not worried about that. It's just as a reader, I'm kind of like, oh, I just, there's a frustration in me that's just kind of like, I need to know because this is just, it seems insanity. And maybe that's what he's trying to get across, is that this is insane.
Right.
So
Could be. Yeah.
either way, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think the flashback art that Jonas Sheriff did, is great.
Hmm.
Just made me want Basilisk more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's one of those things like, I might have to break out those back issues and take a look at that again. So, but again, Cullen Bunn working with someone that he's worked with in the past to do sort of these flashback stuff. So I enjoy the flashback stuff as much as I enjoy the present day. I think he's done a really good job of sort of balancing the two, and with the art styles and stuff like that. So just really enjoyable issue. I seem to, every issue we get into this, enjoy it more and more. So
Yep. Which is what you hope for. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So all right. Anything else on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Well, that looks to be all that we have to talk about as far as books go this week. So, if we don't have anything else, I guess I can get us closed out of here. So come by the website, boomaddiction.com. We're starting to post some stuff there. But continue to also go by Fans of Boom Studios on our Facebook page, because that will give you way more information than the website will, as far as like news and previews and things like that. Not that just Boom is releasing, but other sites and stuff like that are posting about Boom related books, award nominations, and those kind of things are all being put there. So Ed is slaving away getting all that stuff posted.
Yes. Yes.
Copy link.
Yeah, that's it.
But still, it's at one location. It's
Right click, left click, right click, left click.
You can email us at boomaddiction@gmail.com. You can come by our Twitter feed, which is @boomaddiction. You can also come by and check each of us individually. Ed's at Teal Productions, and I am at Chris Parton. You can also is the forum still up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not going to get rid of that, even though he threatened.
Hasn't so far.
I know, but come by our forum at justanotherfanboy.freeforums.net. Get involved over there. I think that is about it. So
don't forget the contest. Doug, you have a good night also, sir.
Don't forget about the contest. Again, between now, this episode, and episode 15, which is our 100th episode, just comment in the on our YouTube channel or in the comments of those episodes. Every comment that you leave is a opportunity to win. So, and you get the first issue and the second issue of A Vicious Circle, 3-issue miniseries. So it's
and a cool collector's box.
And I'll send you the box. That'll be easier for me to ship it in. So, all right, everybody, thank you for coming to the live feed and hanging out with us in the chat. If you're listening to us or watching us after the fact, thank you very much. And as always, sir, thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir.
And we will catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao, folks.
All right, Doug and whoever else is hanging out, if Hyper is still in there, we will catch all of you some other time. I appreciate you hanging out with us. And you too, yes, you too. can get involved in the contest.
Indeed.
So your constant chatting gets you and gets you an entry. You don't have to come back after the fact and comment more. So, all right, we will end the broadcast here. See all of y'all next week. Goodbye.
Bye, folks.